Hello friends and subscribers, welcome back to another edition of Daniel's Tech World. My name is Daniel Rosehill. This is my little tech corner on YouTube, and this being January, I usually spend a bit of time in January putting old data out to archive, especially because I'm a small business owner, I should say. I like to make sure that all my 2023 invoices, expenses, receipts are all properly stored on some kind of durable media on both on-site and off-site locations. So usually January is when I get around to these kind of rainy day projects, which is good because January often does have a lot of rainy days. So what I thought I would do, because the community of folks who are using optical media for archiving is relatively small, I said I'd do another video, this time just looking at the Blu-ray market, who's actually making Blu-rays for writing in January 2024. Just to point out, so I did this by searching around on B&H and Amazon, and just to say that this isn't going to be exhaustive for two reasons here. Firstly, that's only two marketplaces and retailers, and there are other places you can pick up Blu-rays, places like Newegg, etc. And the second reason is that there's also a secondhand market in optical media, and I don't mean actually used optical media itself, because clearly that would not make any sense, as a lot of this optical media is worm. But what you'll see is like kind of people who picked up a bunch of optical media back in the day, and they're just like selling off, trying to get rid of their old stock, including businesses. So you will see on eBay some kind of weirder and more exotic options floating around. But if you prefer to buy, just go through the conventional purchasing channels. For Amazon and B&H both still have quite a selection. So the name you'll hear most, or the name you'll come across most, is going to be Verbatim. People do, I have to say, have mixed things to say about the quality of their discs. Like most people interested in this, I've spent a bit of time on the Data Hoarder subreddit, and Verbatim certainly seem to have their detractors. Some people don't like their discs, other people love their discs. I have been using exclusively Verbatim M-discs so far for my archival stuff, and I haven't had any issues, so I guess I think they're good. But people have, strong feelings about this, as often happens with niche technologies. So if you just want to go for the regular Verbatim Blu-rays, these are like the kind of cheap and cheerful versions on the market. This is a 50 spindle of, they call Data Life Plus, and as I clarified in a video yesterday, I asked Verbatim if they recommend archival grade or what's the difference basically, and they said that archival grade is superior because it has two layers. It has that gold layer, whereas Data Life Plus just has a single reflective layer. So these are 16x and pretty cheap. If you're not super concerned about the data you're archiving being around for some mythical period like 100 years and you just need it for compliance, or just generally archiving old stuff that you don't want to take up space on your NAS or on your cloud storage or whatever your primary data repository is, I think these would be totally fine. But if you do want the best you can buy in archival, it's believed that M-Disc is the best. It writes onto an inorganic layer, and so they give that sort of mythical 1,000-year lifespan. They don't make any promises, so I couldn't find a promise for the BDRs from Verbatim. For the archival grade CDRs and DVD-Rs, I think they both are 50 years. So if you're really concerned about getting stuff that is archival, I think it's always preferable to have some kind of guarantee. So I probably would not recommend these for long-term archival, but for, as I said, kind of, I don't know, like CCTV footage, this is one of the things people still use optical for. If you have a bunch of footage and you can't legally delete it, or you don't want to delete it, but you probably never need it, I would just like throw it on a bunch of these. Personally, that's a reasonable use case, I think. So then we have the M-Disc. So there's Verbatim and Ritek, according to Wikipedia, and I didn't check this with Barry Lunt, the guy who develops the inventor of the M-Disc, but Ritek we'll see Ritek a little bit later, and there is Verbatim, as we've just talked about. So Wikipedia says that both M-Disc and Ritek are legit. You will see Ritek stuff if you go on to AliExpress for M-Disc products with like Japanese writing. I think it's Japanese, it might be Taiwanese. I am unfortunately not able to tell the difference. I don't know any of these Asian languages, but they're in Taiwan, I believe. So they might sell into the Asian market, and then those end up on AliExpress. Anyway, so there you can at least be rest assured that if they're legit Ritek discs, the M discs are legitimate, but also the Verbatim ones. So they have the 3 types of M discs that are still, as far as I know, being produced: 25, 50, and 100 gigs. I don't think anyone's still making M disc DVD. And I say that because all the M-Disc DVDs on Amazon look really, really old school. Whereas at least these ones, to the best of my knowledge, they're still in production. They have nice modern product packaging. If someone knows how to find out when the discs were made, I think there is some way. Some folks on Reddit have got this down to a science. I haven't figured it out yet, but anyway, so the M-Discs are the ones for archival that you really want to be going for, or that are at least marketed for this purpose. They're supposed to last, sometimes they say 1,000 years, sometimes they say hundreds of years. It's kind of a moot point because if you're looking for archival, you're generally just looking to preserve the data for your lifespan, maybe beyond it. Was the hope that your descendants will, take care of your data. So I think 100 versus 1,000 years, it's a moot point. Will there even be these readers in 1,000 years? So that was the M-Disc. And then there's also, Verbatim also make regular non-M-Discs, BDXL, the quad 100 gig triple layer M-Disc, BDR. So these are 57 books for 10 on B&H, and the M-Discs for 4 you're paying 10 bucks. So these are, what's that, about $5.70 per disc. So it's still not like, super cheap, but you can store 100 gigs on them. And that's the top capacity, as I mentioned, that I think really exists in optical. There's been this fabled, sorry if I'm repeating this story, because I had to do 3 takes so far in this video because I kept getting stuff wrong. So if this is repeating it's myself, I'm sorry, but I was mentioning that someone is trying to develop a 1 terabyte optical disc, some startup, but it hasn't really been. Apparently the drives will be expensive, and they're not commercially available yet. So I think 100 gigs is the biggest commercially available optical media that exists in 2024. If someone knows of some random tech that's got beyond 100 gigs, but my understanding is that that's the kind of physical limit based on current engineering constraints, based on the size of the pitting and the laser capacities. So just to point out, because people are always wondering, okay, where does stuff come from? Some people are suspicious of stuff made in Asia. So I said I try to find the information. So Verbatim, I discovered, was acquired in 2020 by CMC. And CMC describes itself as CMC Magnetics is a Taiwanese company that manufactures optical discs. So Verbatim's gone through a few changes of hands over the course of its lifetime as a company. I think it was originally started in California. And they have a bunch of websites, which makes it kind of hard to see exactly where the thing is HQ'd. But I think it's fair to say that their stuff is being made in Taiwan since 2020. So unless you're buying really old Verbatim stock, it's being made in Taiwan. So then other random things I came across just for the sake of, thoroughness. On B&H, I found PlexiDisc. So I kind of tried to look up who they were as well. And I found that PlexDisc is a subsidiary of VinPirate Digital, which in turn is based in China, Taiwan. So another Asian company. And these guys are pretty cheap. It's $29 for a 25 spindle of 25 gig BDR. And these other companies don't seem to have they don't have the same archival stuff as Verbatim, or they just don't make such a big deal about it. If they do have it, they're less kind of elaborate in their claims. So this is up to 6x write speed. And I don't know, I've only bought Verbatim and Ritek to date. So if you know anything about these discs or thoughts about that manufacturer, feel free to chime in. Another one here is the Microboards 50 disc spindle. Again, I know nothing about them. But they're based in Japan. So there's the Japanese manufacturer. There aren't actually a vast amount of manufacturers on the market. So it's not like a huge list. Sorry, let me just go back there. So this one is Microboards. Again, I don't know. That's a very cheap price, I would say. That's less than $1 a disc. I think that's the only one we've seen so far that's less than $1 per disc. And this is up to 4x write speed. Then there is, actually, I stand corrected because we have another one here that is even cheaper. That's really, really cheap. These are discounted to $20 for 50. So what, you're paying like 50 cents a disc. This one is called Smart Buy, and you'll see them floating around on Amazon. And this is what they say on their website. It's, you know, what, like, I'm not sure really what you can expect these optical media manufacturers to describe themselves as. They can't say they're kind of doing something, building Ferraris. You know, they're in the optical media game. So count on Smart Buy Media discs to get reliable data storage up to 100 years. So they kind of sort of make a longevity claim for their data while not making it for any specific product, as far as I can see. Okay, so then we come to Ritek. So this is one of their product lines. It's called Rydata. They make all of the types of Blu-ray. They make 25, 50 gigs DL and 100. And I've seen a few good ratings of them on Reddit. I picked up a few discs from AliExpress years ago, and they wrote fine, and I've just bought a few more just to kind of play around. One very lame project I'm looking forward to is if I'm, hopefully, please God, still kicking in 50 years, to go back through my old discs and see what actually survived the test of time, if the M discs really did, and if how these cheaper or more exotic brands fared. So this is their product. You can buy it through Amazon, and you can also, and they're Taiwanese. That's the flag of Taiwan, and that's their company logo. So that's who Ritek is. Okay, finally, there's a few discs from Sony and some of the other. So Sony, you can still find them on Amazon. I have seen JVC discs. I think I've heard the Panasonic once made a few discs, but these are the ones I could still find like easily accessible on the market on Amazon.com. These are their 50-year archival discs, so there's a promise at least there. And these are the BDXL ones, and they also make I think regular. Yes, they do. They make these regular Blu-rays, the Sony ones, and these, as you can see, were intended for the Asian market. As far as I know, everything should work. If you know some reason why, if there's an issue with like Asian optical media not working in the West for some reason, let us know, me and anyone else watching these videos. These come from Japan, and as you can see, they've got decent reviews on Amazon.com. They've got an almost 5-star rating, and the price is pretty reasonable. But I don't know if they make any archival claims. And finally, this is the stuff. AliExpress.com is where you can find a lot of things from the Asian market, and they have a lot of Ritek stuff. So these are their BDRs. It is a 50 spindle. They call it a barrel, interestingly enough, in the product description, and they're selling those for $34, so actually pretty cheap. And that's it. Those are the ones I found on the market in January 2024. If you know of others I missed, or you have feelings either way about any of the brands, I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching. Until the next video.